Welcome Trinidad and Tobago to our News 4 report, a product of the Government Information Services Limited. I'm Nicola Barreto. Let's take a look at the headlines. The National Security Minister announces his determination to have the Point Fortin Highway construction project continued unhindered. The Security Minister also says a crime plan should be ready in 2 weeks' time. And Wayne Cunningham speaks to TTOC President Larry Romani about our readiness for the Olympic Games. Thank you for joining us to our top story. National Security Minister the Honorable Jack Warner is announcing his determination to have the Point Fortin Highway construction project continued unhindered. Speaking at a press conference, the National Security Minister says he has plans to establish 3 new police academies in this country, including one in South Trinidad, which will be facilitated by the Point Fortin Highway.
We said we put one of the academies in Central. We said we shall put one in Tobago and one in the Deep South. And then it struck me that here we go again, putting another institution in the Deep South, and there are no roads. And we don't have any traffic congestion, will increase almost tenfold. So suddenly it dawned on me that we should try to settle this issue about the highway to Point Fortin. And I called the Minister of Roads and Infrastructure, Senator Emmanuel George, and I asked him if he is prepared to continue the highway at the same pace that it had been started, and he said he had no objection, and in fact he would like my assistance in having the matter resolved.
Minister Warner revealing plans for additional police academies in this country. The National Security Minister also provided details on a situation involving environmental activist Dr. Wayne Kublasing, who was reported to have been arrested after an alleged altercation with security forces who were demolishing the highway reroute movement camp in Debe. Minister Warner says the camp was in fact illegally erected.
There and then I called the Chief of Defense Staff, Mr. Maraj, and I told Mr. Maraj I would like to get an army contingent to go this morning at 5:30 to demolish the camp. The camp which has been there illegally on government lands for the past 2 months. The camp and the campers to whom we have spoken on several occasions. I said to him that we shall go this morning and demolish it, and we shall do it of course in a way that they can say whatever they have in the camp. We went there and we allowed them to remove what they had inside the camp. I think there were 2 or 3 persons in the camp. And we also, there was a tree, which they said was a holy tree. Minister Pata, by the way, Mr. Pata was with me this morning since 5:30. He joined me also this morning. I was there with the army. And he and I lifted the tree. We tried to put it in their van as they were leaving. They said no, put it by the side of the road, which we did. I don't know if it's still there. And then, of course, then the van left. They then came back with a small contingent, very abusive, and I mean extremely abusive. And Mr. Patap and I said nothing. And then sometime later, Dr. Kublasing arrived, and he tried to run his motor vehicle into the army truck. He didn't succeed because there was a mound of earth that prevented him. Then he came out his vehicle and rushed at the soldiers, and he slapped one of them. They did not retaliate. They held him, they wrestled with him, and he finally was taken down to San Fernando police station.
Minister Warner says an army camp will be erected at that location.
The camp has been demolished. An army camp will be on the spot, and the army camp shall move as fast and as often as the contractors want to move. The army camp shall also make sure that any other facility of that kind, that any effort is made to erect one subsequent to today, that shall also be demolished, and that there shall be no more attempts of any kind to erect any camp along the right-of-way of the highway.
Meanwhile, also speaking at the conference was Works and Infrastructure Minister Senator Emmanuel George, who says he stands behind the highway project, which he sees as being of great benefit to this country. He is also condemning actions by those persons who had erected the highway reroute movement camp in Debe.
We are of the view that it is costing the taxpayers of this country a lot of money on a daily basis when camps like the one that was removed today camps like that are put on in the right highway right of way. So we need to move that. We needed to move that camp to save the public a lot of money, millions of dollars that we lose every day as a result of the camp being there. In addition to which, we believe that occupation by those individuals was illegal, and therefore they needed to be moved. All of the discussions that had been going on all of these months seem to be heading nowhere for the precise reason that there seemed to be no willingness to compromise on the part of the occupiers. So I am in full support of what was done today, and we hope that it will result in the highway being constructed uninterruptedly.
Veena Bharat, News 4.
News 4 continues after the break. Stay with us.
Homo sapien, we'll call him Mark. It spends its days trying to attract a mate. Success. What follows is a series of celebratory actions unique to this species. Every Homo sapien has their own way of displaying themselves to attract a female. But things don't go according to plan.
Where the water gone?
No water, no love. Pay your water bill today.
The Water and Sewage Authority of Trinidad and Tobago. Water security for every sector. Deliver it. Sustain it.
We are reporting from communities across the country. People are calling Nalis Libraries their library. Tell me, why is Nalis your library?
My library is where I can have fun learning.
My library is helping me earn better grades with online research resources.
My library is my gateway to the world of information.
My library is providing access to the differently abled. As a visually impaired person, I can envision limitless possibilities.
My library is making my world truly worldwide with free internet access.
My library is helping me keep an eye on my health with access to the virtual health library via the Nalis website.
Nalis is my library.
Thank you for staying with us. Meanwhile, the National Security Minister, the Honorable Jack Warner, is announcing that a crime plan should be ready in 2 weeks' time. Speaking with reporters shortly after the swearing-in ceremony of new ministers at Knowsley Building, Queen's Park West, Port of Spain, the newly appointed minister said the country was facing urban warfare and it needed to be brought under control.
We have to go, we have in our hands here a kind of urban warfare in this country. That has to be taken under control. Urban warfare must be met frontally, and we can't run. We must take this country back street by street, corner by corner, and you'll see me on the block as you have never seen me before. If you think you see me digging roads and bridges and things, you'll see me more often than that, and believe you me, sooner rather than later.
Newly appointed and ready to take charge, the ever-ready Jack Warner, who just mere minutes after being sworn in as National Security Minister, was able to reveal several initiatives and strategies to tackle crime in this country. He says his general aim is to reduce crime and make police more visible on the roads. He is also promising to give security forces the tools to perform more effectively.
My main priority is to reduce crime as a general statement, but also to make the protective services more visible on the road, especially the crime areas. To have traffic police men doing traffic, to have police officers and army and coast guard and fire, even if you have to, in the hotspots almost round the clock. You have to have lights, of course. This has to be also aerial. We have helicopters with lights you could see where people are going and so on. This has to be done. You have to also make sure that your community police be really community police and work with the community, having sports and games and so on in the various divisions and play and interact with the people. The police have to go back to the people and remove the kind of hostility which exists outside there, because to get intelligence for people, they have to be friendly.
Minister Warner is also reiterating his desire for a sanitized flying squad, while also defending the decision to restructure the special anti-crime units of Trinidad and Tobago. He is also suggesting that fire officers and MTS officers join in the fight against crime. He is highlighting the need for greater cooperation and exchange of intelligence among the security agencies.
There's a host of things I need to do, but I really want to say much more. I meet those guys tomorrow at 2 p.m. Why don't we have cadets again in our secondary schools? Why don't we have scouts and girls? That's a long time. And if I have to remember the flying squad, that is sanitized. No, I'm telling you, sanitized. There were some good elements in the flying squad. Of course, they did some very wrong things. We have to change. But let us go back and see what worked well in the past. And whatever worked well, let's do. I'm telling you again, I'm totally against 21st century policing. You have to first fix 20th century before you go 21st. I find it's a paradox, I said before, that we are building 9 police stations. 9 guys. By the same time we building stations, we're closing down. It just doesn't make sense to me. And I don't see also to why our police stations can't have additional building or structure for fire stations. Wherever you have a new police station, you must also have a fire station. And a host of things I want to do.
Minister Warner adds that the detection rate is also an area to which he wishes to pay particular attention. He says the solution to solving crime involves a collaborative effort by all sectors in society.
Whatever has to be done to fight crime, I will do. For example, I don't see why we can't have some 5,000 or 6,000 SRPs in the service. They and why the SRP could not be a vehicle or a mechanism where people can go and get an apprenticeship before they go to the regular police service. Why can that be? I don't see why our fire officers can also join the fight of crime. I don't see why you have MTS, where you have 700 officers precepted, all armed to the teeth. 700 doing what? MTS is a government agency. Why can't they also fight crime? At the end of the day, I want to tell you that crime is not, of course, a work for the Minister of alone, national security. Crime is a job for education, for sport, for social people, and for all of us. It has to be a collective effort. Do expect me to come tomorrow and wave some magic wand, abracadabra, and jack solve crime. It can't be done that way.
Veena Bharath, News 4.
News 4 continues after the break. Stay with us.
Honoring and respecting the elderly begins with you and me. And in the event of a disaster, your support before, during, and after will be critical to their well-being. Build a support team where each member will have a specific task. Your team must include someone who is within easy reach of the elderly person. Make an evacuation plan and practice your plan. Stock up on special caregiving items such as incontinence items, cleaning and sanitizing supplies. Have on hand a minimum of 2 weeks supply of all essential medications. In the event of a disaster, accessing medication may become difficult. Keep testing and insulin supplies that do not require refrigeration for diabetics. Secure all medical supplies in a clean, waterproof, easy-to-carry container. Keep a list of medication, caregiving instruction, doctors' names, and contact information. In case an elderly person is relocated to a shelter, this information is vital to their continued care. Dehydration is a serious health problem for older adults. Store at least 1 gallon per person per day. Store at least 3 days worth. Consider special dietary needs when stocking up on food supplies. Safeguard important documents and provide an ID bracelet or necklace to persons with special needs, such as persons with Alzheimer's disease. Remember, disaster readiness and preparedness begins with you and me.
A message from the Ministry of National Security, Office of Disaster Preparedness and Management.
Welcome back to our News 4 report. A state-of-the-art system of cancer control with 4 radiation treatment rooms, MRI, PT, CT, a brachytherapy room with 23 chemotherapy stations, outpatient clinics, patient libraries and more. The layout of what will be the National Oncology Center at the Eric Williams Medical Sciences Complex at Mount Hope. The announcement by Health Minister Dr. The Honorable Fuad Khan, who gave an update on the National Oncology Center at Hyatt Regency, Port of Spain.
During his address, Health Minister Dr. The Honorable Fuad Khan is revealing that the new National Oncology Center at the Eric Williams Medical Sciences Complex Center will be equipped with a superficial radiation treatment room and a shielded operating theater for minor procedures, including biopsies, which also doubles as the HDR suite. It would also be supported by a full pharmacy service and a laboratory to facilitate the processing of blood samples.
The National Oncology Center will offer a sustainable, equitable, comprehensive state-of-the-art system as seen of cancer control. This center, the priority will be radiation oncology, along with a new focus on prevention, screening, etc. to reduce cancer incidence. There will be quality assurance and a patient-centered system of treatment and palliation. A multidisciplinary team approach has to be used from diagnosis to treatment to cure under the central control of a specialist care of oncologists, specialist physicians, etc., and counselors. Among the services which will be provided by the National Oncology Center will be radiation therapy, chemotherapy, CT stimulation, PET scanning, treatment planning, and HDR, which is high-dose radiation brachytherapy.
The health minister reveals that government has estimated some $663 million as the construction budget for the National Oncology Center, with an additional $52 million for equipment and professional fees. He notes that an estimated $120 million has already been spent on the project since it was promised in 2007. He says construction is scheduled to commence later this year and will take approximately 2 years for completion.
I hope to start the construction on November 12, 2012. The construction period will be approximately 18 months to be confirmed by tender. The commissioning of the major equipment will be 6 months. And ladies and gentlemen, we hope to start operation by November 2014. And I think UDCOT is going to deliver that as they have suggested. The project budget will be approximately $663 million.
Minister Khan says the center is part of government's plan to deal with chronic non-communicable diseases. In addition, he is also noting that the ministry had decentralized the delivery of chemotherapy services to the regional health authorities, expanded the cancer drug formulary, and awarded national scholarships and bursaries to nationals pursuing specialist training in oncology. He is also urging persons to practice healthy lifestyles.
We have also established 2 BSc degree programs in oncology nursing and radiation therapy at the School of Advanced Nursing, UE and COSTAT. Ladies and gentlemen, in addition to our thrust to providing this treatment and care for those afflicted with cancer and other diseases, the Ministry of Health continues to lead health initiatives to emphasize the importance of a healthy lifestyle, which I must mention, for the prevention of CNCDs, such as our Fight the Fat campaign.
According to the health minister, research was carried out during the development stage as it was necessary to determine which cancers affected most patients and determine programs and equipment necessary to treat them. He also provided some insight into cancer and how it behaves in the body, noting that it can be controlled.
Cancer is the result of uncontrolled cell growth. Our bodies are composed of trillions of cells working together as one unit. In cancer, one of these cells stops paying attention to the normal signals, which tells these cells not to or to stop doing what they're doing or to control their replication. In essence, these cells become independent of the functions that make our bodies run smoothly. Usually the process of this abnormal growth is triggered by specific influences: viral influences, environmental, toxins, genetics, and mutation. Cancer cells do share similar properties, hence our ability to manage them because of those similar properties. We are able to detect, manage, and now prevent the cancer movement, as we saw in the HPV vaccine.
The health minister is also revealing that extensive cancer research will take place at the new center.
When completed, the Cancer Center will have a number of ongoing research projects with proper peer review systems. There will be the development of internationally competitive research programs in cancer research. This will include programs in tumor epidemiology, outcome management research, and the research into the identification of cancer risk factors and predictable factors. such as HPV and cervical cancers, oral cancers, anal ward cancers, etc. Smoking and bladder cancer, we know there is a correlation also with lung cancer. These research topics will be at the forefront of the teaching services. The center will have a central area for an entry of cancer patients, with treatment performed by the multidisciplinary team, as we just said, of clinical oncologists, and supported by an integrated clinical system of doctors of various specialties geared towards the management of the cancer patient.
Veena Bharath, News 4.
Sport is up right after the break. Stay with us.
You will see how we have been retasked with a newly equipped CSI division and data systems that not only put crime-fighting logistics at our fingertips, but those of CSI units throughout the world. And you will see how our police service has been reborn with a new sense of pride, a new sense of duty, and a new sense of community service that demonstrates that protect and serve means we are really here to protect and serve you, and to do it with pride. Each of us has chosen to serve, to do public service, to be here for you in some of life's most terrifying and saddest moments, to listen, to help, to be there for you 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Our hearts and minds will never close.
The task of managing and putting all in place for a team headed to the London 2012 Olympics falls to the Trinidad and Tobago Olympic Committee. And with the National Track and Field Championships completed last weekend, expectations are high that the full team will be named this week. Wayne Cunningham spoke to TTOC President Larry Romani about our readiness for the Games, and he has some good news in this report.
The official announcement of the team to represent Trinidad and Tobago at the London 2012 Olympic Games is expected to be named soon. And that team, from all accounts, will be very diversified. And President of the Trinidad and Tobago Olympic Committee, Larry Romani, is pleased with that.
What we have realized is a diversity in participation in the team. So what you find in these games, we have sailing coming back from, it last entered the games in the 50s. We have cycling, with whose last competitor was Jean Samuel in 1996. We have shooting, so that we now have a diversity of sporting disciplines, in addition to which we have a diversity of events in the participants, so that you have triple jump women, you have 400-meter hurdle women, you have 100-meter hurdle women, 110-meter hurdle men. There are a number of field events and jumps and throws that we would not have normally had, that we now are doing quite well at. And we expect that further on, at 2016, that we would really have a much larger diversity, and which is what we're really looking for, to try to create a pathway that allows sport to develop across the board.
Mr. Romani is high with expectation regarding our medal prospects at London 2012.
I think that is clear to most people involved that our greatest medal potential right now is in the relays. Collectively, we have a number of participants in the relay events that do times that cumulatively are medal potential. In 2012, we should get medals in cycling, we should get medals in the jumps and in the throws, because of the talent that we have in the system right now between the ages of 17 and 20. For these games, though, we see the sprints still leading in the medal potential. The relays being the top of the real prospect for medals. But we have a real opportunity with George Bovell. I think that, and the Olympic Committee feels that George Bovell will surprise everyone, and he will come away with a medal in the 50-meter free. Yeah.
In the opinion of the TTOC head, the Ministry of Sports Elite Athletes Program is meeting its objective.
The Ministry of Sport has always attempted to play a role in the development of elite athletes. They certainly play a role in the development of community sport. I mean, they have a number of community programs. They have a lot of community officers. And through the recently formed sport company, I mean, they've been trying to do a lot of work throughout communities. Dealing with athletes at the elite level is slightly different. The challenge is always when athletes would get funding. In our government system, the Westminster system of government, money normally comes in arrears. So that it means that somebody has to front that money up in the beginning, and then they collect it. And that is, I think, is where the challenges are. It's not that athletes don't have access to money, it's just when the money comes. We have been very fortunate in that the Elite Athlete Funding Program has provided athletes with funding that would allow them to pay fees like coaching, to pay their rent, to pay, because a number of athletes have finished under the NCAA system and are living like normal people, so that they have to meet their daily commitments. And if they are to remain in the system as professional athletes, they must have some sort of income or some sort of subsidy that would allow them to continue. The government has provided that to some extent, and they continue to do so. And I think that is extremely good.
According to the experts, we can expect some Olympic hardware in 2012. Wayne Cunningham, News 4 Sports.
Well, that's how we wrap up this edition of our News 4 report, a product of the Government Information Services Limited. I'm Nicola Barreto. Thank you for joining us.